Hello, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Today I'm going to be doing, it's not really a book review, I guess it's a book chat, but it's also just, I want to explain myself, which it's not so much that I care what people think because, girl, I don't care. But I just want to talk about a couple of books that I was surprised by and that I think deserve a chance if you like a little bit of trash. But if you can't tell, I want to talk about the After series by Anna Todd, which is, if you haven't heard, which maybe you haven't because you maybe don't care, but it was a big deal back in 2013, 2014. They were written on Wattpad, and it was some fan fiction by Anna Todd about One Direction, mainly focused on Harry Styles. And the series used to have the name Harry in there as well as all the names of the other characters for One Direction. But when it was going to be put into publication, it went through and they changed the name to Hardin Scott instead of Harry Styles, and they changed everyone else's name too, except the main character. I believe she was always Tessa. I found these books in 2014 just as they were coming in print, but I was still able to read them on Wattpad, and I devoured them. But when they came out in paperback, I had already read them, and I was a little too ashamed to buy them because I was only, what was I in 2014? I was only 19, and I mean, they're smut, basically. Not gonna lie to you. They are vicariously fun. They are quirky and a little dangerous, and do not show a healthy relationship. There's definitely some trigger warnings in these. So if you have issues with abusive relationships or have been in them before, I'm not telling you to overlook those things and read it. The way I'm coming at this talk is I am fully aware of all of the things that are said and all the things that are true. And people who have critiques of 50 Shades of Grey novels, a lot of those hold true for these, except where I find to be a few main differences. Having been someone who has read both series, and I was very disturbed by 50 Shades of Grey, I wasn't as disturbed by these. And there's a couple of reasons for those, and you might think they're not valid, and that's fine. Again, you've probably already clicked out of this if you have no care about these, but I just wanted to talk through them, and I'd love to hear what some people think who have liked them and who didn't like them. One of the main differences, I think, and I'm not turning this into a comparison because I'm just not, to me, they're not the same, but I can see where the critiques of it are. For me, one of the main differences is that Tessa is immediately aware of all the characteristics of Hardin. And though she lets herself be pulled into this cycle a few too many times, that's my biggest critique of this series that I'll get to in a minute for the part I critique. But the thing for me is that Tessa is very aware, and though she doesn't take enough steps to get herself away, I also don't think she wants to get away. Whereas I believe the Anna and Christian relationship, Anna maybe doesn't realize she needs to get away, and the times that she does, she doesn't really mean it. And also, Christian's really rapey, and I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say that. If you don't agree with that, again, go away. As having read the entire thing, there's never a time where these two are intimate together that one of them didn't want to be. I am not qualified enough to get on a what is consent and what's not list, but as a reader interpreting what's on the page, that is my interpretation of it. So whereas in 50 Shades of Grey, there are many times where Anna says no and Christian does it anyway, and then because she likes it, she never complains about it, and they never talk about that. and that creeps me out a lot. I'm gonna stop on this train now. And then the other main thing I think that it is different is that both of these people are very young. They both have messed up childhoods, and they both have messed up families, and they're two hurt people looking for comfort in each other and looking for someone to accept them when nobody else will. And there's no tons of money involved. There's no throwing gifts in your face so you'll overlook my issues. There's no bribing the person to date them. There's like none of those things. And though there may be characteristics of abusive relationships, which in these books Tessa brings up to Hardin. She says, have you ever looked up what an abusive relationship is? Because we're in one, babe. Like, we are one. And they talk about that. And they try to give each other space, and they come across that they can't. And that is demented. Like, it's not a healthy relationship, but they're aware of it. And to me, that's the biggest difference. I'll talk about one other issue I have with it, and then I'm going to talk about the things that I like. Because, again, I think it's worth it if you're fully aware of what you're getting into and you want some fun, trashy summer reads. Because, yeah. The other thing I don't like about it, and this really just comes back to, like, story structure. And it has a lot to do with the fact that these were written on Wattpad, and that when they were taken from Wattpad and put into print, the publishing company just basically did a straight move over. They just took everything there was, switched out the names from Harry to Hardin, and Landon from Liam to Landon, and from Niall to Nate. Like, they switched that, and then they were like, oh, well, people love how these books are, so we're just going to straight up send them. And the issue with that is these needed some editing. They needed other things to happen to them, because like, these books are huge. Like, this one's 500 pages, 600 pages, 800 pages, and 500 pages. They are huge novels, and big sections of them is the exact same thing happening over and over and over again. Tessa and Hardin fight. He pushes her too far, or she pushes him too far. They break up. They decide they can't be apart. They make up. They sleep together. They try to go on for a few days, and it happens again. And, like, that happens so many times in the books. And, like, that's part of their story. That's who they are. They are a dysfunctional relationship that they are physically attracted to each other. They can't get enough of each other, but they have personality mashups. Like, they can't make it work that way. But you could get that across without it happening about 8 times in each novel. Like, besides the first one, which has, you know, a really nicely set up story. The second and third novels, outside of the regular plot, there are constantly these same things happening over and over again. So much so that in the second book, I always, there's this dead spot in the middle where I'm like, the same thing happens 3 times in a row, and I skip it to get on to the next part of the plot. I'm gonna wrap this up now and talk about what I like. And I mentioned this a little in the middle. I really like that start to realize what's going on. Both of them. First Tessa, and then Hardin, they realize what's going on. And so for me, besides all the repetitiveness in the middle, when you look at them from where they started, these books, the main parts of the story takes place over like a year, and then it has some skipping ahead parts at the very end of it. It takes place over a year, and still, this is a lot of stuff to happen in a year's time, but they're growing through it, especially in the third and fourth books. They are growing through their experiences, and every time they fight and it doesn't go well, they learn a little something. And it takes way longer than it should, but then you wouldn't get all the fun trash in the middle, which for me, I bought these books on Monday, and I finished the 4th one last night. I read a book a day. Yeah, this big, because I skipped some of the sex scenes and stuff, because there's a lot. Oh my gosh, these people have a lot of sex. I skip a lot of it. But I read a book a day of these for the last 4 days, because like the chapters are really short too, because it was written on Wattpad, and again, there's all those like kind of things, but I just enjoyed them so much. And that's why I gave all of these 4 stars, and I don't care. I don't care. Other people have all these issues, and if you know what you get going in, you're going to see 2 dysfunctional people, the bad boy with the tattoos and the lip ring and the Harry Styles vibe, and the good girl who comes from a single mother who has kept her in line, and she gets to college and she needs to loosen up a little bit. And, you know, normally Hardin would have been that bad boy boyfriend that you have and then you move on from. Had a bad boy phase too. He evolves and works through his issues, gets over his anger, and is able to grow with Tessa. And I think that is so cool, because sometimes that's not realistic, but sometimes it is. Sometimes a good person can help you work through your issues. And like, Tessa was not perfect. Like, she had other things to work through, control issues to work through, mental issues to work through. And she works through hers and he works through his. And at the other end of it, they have both made themselves who they're supposed to be. And it isn't the other person that does all of the changing in them. Like, they both are changing each other, but it's through choices that they make. It's not, oh, Hardin is all messed up, but he's super hot, I'm going to fix him and then he'll be the perfect husband for me someday. No, that's not what it is. It's, we're experimenting together and we're learning things, and like, I'm learning to trust and you're learning to love, and I'm learning what really obsessive love is like, and I'm learning I need to dial it back. And there's just so many ups and downs. And so it's not psychology. Like, it's not going to teach you anything, but it's definitely worth it. And yeah, so anyway, I gave these all 4 stars. I cried a couple of times. There's some twists and turns. There is a lot of smut in there, which might be why you pick it up, whatever. But by midway through the second book, you forget that it's 1D fan fiction, even though their names are similar. Like, besides what Harry Styles looks like, I mean, they're not in a band. Like, it doesn't have anything to do with that. It's just this author took the inspiration of some people already and she made them into her characters. And I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I hope you'll give it a chance if you want to. And if you don't, if you hate it, if this is the worst recommendation I've ever given you, then tell me about it. Tell me how you felt. Tell me what you think. Let's talk about it. I don't know if anybody would, but just try to be respectful. Remember, this is a safe place. If I've said anything that pisses you off, like, I'm sorry, but I don't care. But also be respectful of other people. You can be disrespectful to me. I will delete you, but you can say what you want to me. Please don't be disrespectful of what anyone else might say, because I enjoyed these and I know there's other people that are, or there wouldn't be a movie coming out because nobody would have read them. It wouldn't be the most read book on Wattpad if nobody wanted it. So, just saying. So anyway, thanks for stopping by the Book Refuge. Thank you for taking some time with me, and I hope you have a wonderful day.